would like to be lucky enough to go back into my daily writing and see where I officially declared that creativity is an addiction. I just knew that when I came to my truth on that page, it changed everything from that day forward, because all of a sudden I found something, the identity of what was driving me totally insane. Unplugged, because we will always say yes to creativity. Totally Uncut, because we all make mistakes. So turn it into a tool. This is Arroe Unplugged. My God, this is the first day in many. I'm finally feeling better. Oh my God. I thought I went to hell. Maybe I did. And I'm sure that if I go back through my daily writing, I'm going to find out how deep into hell I actually went. The thing is, I want to do everything I can to keep you from going where I just came from. Oh my God. I mean, when is the right time to run off to the doctor? First of all, I am no medical professional. Okay, you heard that, right? I am no medical professional. But there has to be a story. It has to exist and not be pre-written. Let me explain that. I did some research on this. You run to the doctor when you have a persistent temperature, when a cold becomes really bad, when there's weight loss involved, a shortness of breath. See, in all things presented there, it all required time. It all had to take place. A few days, maybe even more. One report says a cough that goes 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, 10 days or more. That's when you go to the doctor. The reason why I bring this up is based 100% on my difficulty to understand what are the differences between allergies versus a cold. Very easily, I could have raced to the doctor last week, but made the choice not to rush the moment, to play it out. It's going to be uncomfortable, but keep really good records of my temperature, of my blood pressure, my weight, everything, including my mindset. Less than a week into the walk, the attack on my body is not calling for a doctor's opinion. This isn't for everyone. When in question, always seek a professional. But I remember my doctor, Tyler, he said, don't come see me. Not until after 10 days. And yet, these essential jobs that you and I have, they tell you that when you've got a sniffle or you're calling out for one day, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor right now. We have to have a note. We need to have proof that you're really sick. That's a pet peeve of mine. And I don't ever want to be challenged on it because I'm an old guy. I'm a curmudgeon of some sort in his own way and shape. And it's one of those where I did call out and they didn't ask for a note because and I would tell them exactly what we just talked about. The story was just beginning. Now that we're almost a week into it, I can say, thank God I didn't go waste a ton of money and waste a bunch of time from a doctor. Besides, come on, you know the truth about doctors, don't you? A Native American medicine man sat down with me. His name was George. He goes, you know what? The difference between what I do as a medicine man and what they do as people. They, the doctors, they practice medicine. I create medicine. Ooh. Hey, Sarah, this is The Daily Mess, a chronological walk through an everyday world. I am a daily writer. I talk about everyday stuff because if I'm going through it, there's a big chance you're going through it too. And if not, maybe in a week you might be going, do I need to go to the doctor? Do I? What, has anything been written? Have I been taking my vital signs? What's the story? Because they're going to ask you anyway. And then what do you do when you're sitting on that table? I don't know. I guess it was up. I guess. This is The Daily Mess. The attempt to locate family peace. Can you relate? It saddens me how my relationship with my sister came to an end the way that it did. 4 months before her passing, she ghosted me. It was 100% a block because I wouldn't look at her life as being the wreck that she called it. I gave her a ton of compassion, but in her heart, it wasn't enough. She wanted me to say, yes, you are totally effed up, and I wouldn't do it. If I didn't see it her way, I had to take the highway. Well, we lost her, and there were no I'm sorries. Well, up next, God has delivered my brother, who has been separated from this path nearly all my life. It's too easy to call this a Cain and Abel story, or one close to it. The The two brothers made sacrifices to God. Then God favored Abel. Well, that pissed off Cain. He ended Abel's life. The moral of the story is not based on actions, but rather attitudes. My brother and I are 100% opposite people. Our beliefs, nowhere near the same. Our lifestyles, don't even come close. Our way of community, not even going there. My choice is to walk free of the dysfunction, where he's always wanting to confront it. But it has to be on his terms, though. Well, I've turned to God. I'm not sure if he has or not. But there is that what-if factor. I've turned to God. What if he's done the same? What if God says, so what are your sacrifices? You think I'm alone in this? I'm not. This has been building up, and I'm sure it's been building up in your own personal family. Where the hell is Oprah Winfrey where we can have these stories? This isn't a Maury Povich thing where you're going to test the DNA. We need some Oprah stories. We need someone that's going to say, hey, look, you two little knuckleheads, let's figure out what the path is. I'm trying. But in doing so, you've got to create communication. And my brother wrote to me last night, and he said, hey, look, he says, if you want to disconnect from me, if you want to block me, then go ahead and do it. And that was not a good word to say because of the situation that I had with my sister. There will be no blocking, I said. But you have to understand that we need to learn who we are as individuals, and we have to be equal. And I say the same thing to you in your own personal life. I wrote in my daily writing that one of the things that's very interesting about family relationships is the amazing amount of silence there is in families. When families are dysfunctional, there are things that they don't talk about. They don't bring up. But here's the action and the reaction to that. When the family is breaking down, it trickles onto the streets of the community. What you do with family, it's going to be out there in your community, your circle. It doesn't just stay there behind closed doors and unspoken lips. It trickles onto the streets. So this is very important to me because I want to be able to say, look, I didn't get to say I'm sorry to my sister, but I was not going to say you are broken. Yes, you are what you say you are, because I just didn't love her that way. I loved her in a way of healing, to find peace, and being an assumer. I thought this would only be just a moment. I didn't realize it would be our last. I'm Arroe, and that's The Daily Mess.